Good afternoon everyone and welcome to the second webinar from the UK for the Truth Uncovered project. My name is Carolyn Usher. I'm International Project Manager here at Innova and have been coordinating the project along with staff from the Sheffield College and leading the pilots here in the UK. This webinar is just to introduce you to the results of those pilots which were run from the end of 2014 to the beginning of 2015. But just to begin with a short introduction to the project, and just to say, it is often hard for us to imagine that slavery still exists, and we tend to think, surely that was abolished many years ago. But sadly, very sadly, the issue of modern slavery, as it's being called now, or human trafficking, has been more and more in the news recently, and especially in our area within South Yorkshire, which is very, very sad and really worrying for us. Our global leaders are telling us that there are now more people trapped in some form of slavery than at any time before in history, which is just truly shocking. There are estimates that the total number of men, women and children enslaved today are in excess of 20 million people, although those estimates do vary, but this is a generally accepted figure. So the Truth Project was launched to really try to raise more awareness of the crime, and it was originally born from an online human trafficking awareness course which was developed by the Sheffield College. And together with the college and Innova, we felt that it could be further developed and promoted to help more people from across Europe, not just here in Sheffield or even in the UK, to find out more about the issue and what can be done to prevent it. So in 2013, we wrote a funding bid which was successful in securing funding through the European Commission Lifelong Learning Programme, which was to update and transfer the existing course for use by frontline workers. And by that we meant those in social, healthcare, or the police, or teachers, anyone who might come into contact with either victims or perpetrators of human trafficking. And not just in the UK, but also in our partner countries. And we have been working with partners in Greece, Italy and Romania, which is demonstrated on this lovely map here. In Romania, we're working with an organisation called LAMPAS, a small regional organisation which aims to respond to community needs by supporting and promoting personal and community development and encouraging social inclusion in order to increase the quality of life of vulnerable groups. And Romania, obviously, a key player within human trafficking, with many women especially being trafficked from Romania to other states in Europe and especially the UK. And in Italy, we're working with Regione Emilia-Romagna, who are the administrative region of northern Italy. And there are 3 departments taking part in this project, which includes personnel, information systems, IT, the Department of Local Police and Urban Security, and the Social Integration Service. And they are obviously key players within Italy in terms of receiving trafficked victims into the country, and the police there work very strongly to prevent the crime in their region. In Greece, finally, we work with Frontidazois, a social welfare organisation for the care of socially vulnerable groups, particularly the elderly and disabled. And they're an accredited social care vet provider, which focus on the education and training of social care professionals. So they're working directly with the target group for the project, including nurses, social workers and carers, both informally and formal. Here in the UK, the pilots were run by both the UK partners, so that's the Sheffield College and Innova Consultancy. Innova are a small independent private organisation who are very much involved in career development, skills development, and been working with the college for a few years now to develop new projects and products, and that's how we kind of got involved in this and came on board as both project managers and also in our area of supporting people to develop career knowledge and skills, so therefore supporting the frontline workers that are involved in the project. So the pilots in the UK began in October 2014. They followed an initial period of research and development. The partners in all of the countries were required to run 2 pilot courses, and so as you can see in the UK, for us this was between October and November 2014 for the first group of participants, and between March and April 2015 for the second group. And that was piloting a newly developed course, so based on the original materials from the college. We looked at the research we had done, both in terms of the content and what our new group of learners, frontline workers, wanted to get from training, and developed new materials and a new platform to support their learning. I'll explain a little bit more about the process for delivering the course in a moment, but the main aim was to provide a blended course, so that would include online learning developed by the college, but also would, to support that, include face-to-face sessions which would be based on the action learning methodology, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. So as I said, the 2 pilots took place, the dates are shown there, and this is a great photograph from the very final session we had, which includes not just participants but also wider stakeholders and other people from the community who came to help us sort of celebrate the success of the pilot, but also just to learn more and raise more awareness more widely, which was a fantastic event. Also, just to say that the reason for having 2 pilots was that we could incorporate more feedback and recommendations after the first group had finished the course. So after November, we received a lot of great feedback from the first group of participants, which was taken into account, and between the staff at the college and Inova, we were able to further develop and make improvements to the course. So sometimes that was about content, if there had been something maybe not well explained or missing, that we could add to, but also very much practically about the design of the platform online and how that could be made more user-friendly and improved. So between December and the end of February, we were making those improvements to the course, and then in March we piloted again with a second different group of participants, again receiving feedback to make sure that the course was as good as it could be and was meeting their expectations and needs. So the second course was again evaluated, and after that second pilot, there were maybe just a handful of other recommendations that we received that we were able to incorporate, so that the final product, which we have now, is as good as it can possibly be. And the course, so the methodology for how we delivered both of the pilots followed a quite basic methodology, and so we began with an introductory seminar with the face-to-face participants who came to just hear a bit more about the project, where it came from, and to get an understanding of what was expected of them. And then they were given their sign-in details for the online platform. The online course consists of 5 modules, which are listed there. So there's introduction more generally about trafficking and the issue, and then it goes into more depth explaining the different types of trafficking, who are victims and perpetrators, how can we start to identify when there might be a problem, how we can fight against it, and actions and interventions which are already happening, what is being done to help prevent and combat trafficking. And this focuses in each country on local issues. So in the English version, we have UK examples of actions and interventions, UK legislation information and so on, but each partner in their own country has individually developed the session so that it is relevant to their local participants, so Italians are learning about Italian legislation and so on. For those participants who were part of the blended learning course, they also took part in at least 2 face-to-face learning set meetings, and we split those between the two. So the participants, following the introductory seminar, were given time at home to do the first 2 modules on the online platform. They then returned to have a face-to-face session, which was based on action learning, whereby in small groups with a trained facilitator, they were able to reflect on what they'd learned, discuss some of the issues that had come up, tell us about any problems that they'd had, or if there was something that maybe hadn't been understood, they could share their knowledge between peers. And also those learning set meetings were a great chance to network and get to know other people who were working in similar areas to themselves, where they could maybe share knowledge and information and possibly work together in the future. So the first learning set meeting was after completing the first 2 modules, and then they went away, did the last 3 modules, and then came back for the final meeting, which also gave us a chance to really speak to participants and get great testimonials and feedback from them, gave very good qualitative evaluation, and as I say, was a benefit for the learners because they were able to kind of discuss things that they had read about, make sure and check their understanding, discuss with each other what they'd read about, which really added value, and we can tell from their feedback. So the pilots at a glance, the numbers were great, especially for the second pilot. We think that by the second pilot, had been a lot of word of mouth. People were spreading the message about the course, and we had a lot of interest in the run-up to that second pilot. So the numbers were fantastic, and people were given the choice of signing up either to do the full blended learning course, which included coming to the action learning sets, or if time or geography was an issue, they could purely do the online platform and not come to any of the face-to-face sessions. So you can see generally there was a really good take-up of blended learning. We had slightly more in the first pilot and just a little less in the second than online learners, but in all that was very much based on people's time, and some of them were based kind of further away, so would have struggled to come to face-to-face sessions. But for those who were local and able to come to the blended learning and take part in face-to-face, the feedback was very strong. They found it really helped them to begin to understand how to use the information they'd read about, and also found the networking side of it very useful. So a lot of new connections were made, and people, we hope, will start working together and coming up with new, maybe new projects or new ways of working and raising awareness about what they've learned. The profile of workers you can see there, mainly they were social workers, but we also worked with some hospital staff from the NHS who worked in sexual health, and we also had interest from students on criminology courses, police who were aiming to enter the police in the future, or who were working as volunteers with potential victims through local charities. So there was a really good rounded pool of participants from different areas, different ages, range of genders, which really helped to get good discussions going and worked well in terms of the demography of the group. At the beginning of the pilot, we asked each person to self-assess their knowledge of the course. So the slide here shows some of the questions they were asked about. How aware were they of different types of trafficking, the characteristics, what are the different forms, were they aware of legislation, those kinds of questions. And they rated their knowledge on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being that they didn't know, 5 being that they were very aware, 1 being that they weren't aware at all. So you can see here the blue line shows their knowledge before the course, which for most participants was quite low, and then pink line above shows their knowledge after the course. So we can be quite confident that the online materials and the discussion groups were a great way for them to build knowledge and become more aware of human trafficking, how to prevent it, what the law is, and what kinds of interventions there are to support victims at the moment. As I said, feedback was really good. The course was very well received by participants. Although we did get a lot of feedback in terms of how we could improve the design of the course and how user-friendly it was, and generally there were very few serious issues even in the first pilot, and in terms of the content itself, people were really pleased with it. They found it very beneficial. They had really learned a lot. They liked the fact that we used case studies, videos of real people who had been victims, and they were very keen to recommend the course to other people, which we did see in the second pilot, a lot of people being referred by previous participants, which was fantastic. So there's just a few quotes there that you can read as we go along. We also have some further quotes that were linked specifically to both either face-to-face or the online course, and it seemed that people really liked the idea that it was flexible, that they could dip in and out when they wanted to, but that they were also able to come together, network, and discuss the knowledge later on. And I just, rather than letting you read all those comments, I thought I would play a short video from Patrick Thornley, who took part in the second pilot, so he can tell you himself what he thought about the course. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, I think the video doesn't want to work, so maybe we'll leave that and I can play it towards the end. But just to finish off, I wanted just to mention some upcoming events in the future for the project as well. First of all, the Truth project will finish in September of this year, and as we come up to the end, we are inviting everyone to a final conference, which will take place at St Mary's Conference Centre in Sheffield on the 24th of September. It'll be a great opportunity to hear more about what I've talked about today, but also to discuss modern slavery both in the UK and beyond more widely. We have a great agenda of speakers lined up, including Lord Glenpeep Hall Blomfield, Aidan McQuaid from one of the main anti-slavery organisations in the UK, as well as some external experts who've written books on the subject and have been very much involved in fighting modern slavery through the police force. So it'll be a really good event, an opportunity to meet other people, find out more about the issue and what you can do, how you can be involved. We'll also have some representatives of local charities who support victims there, so it will be also a great chance to speak to them about some of the experiences they've had and the victims that they've worked with. So that's the event on 24th of September, and do save the date, and if you're interested in coming along, I'll give my contact details at the end of this webinar, and you can get in touch with me to find out more. And then as we are coming to the end of the project, we're starting to think a lot about sustainability and the future of the Truth Project. As I said, the project will end this September 2015, but all the partners are looking at how they will continue to use the course and sustain the project after the funding period. In Italy especially, they are already starting to incorporate that within the training for the police in their region, which is fantastic. It'll be a great resource for them to continue working with for the future. Here in the UK, we have been developing a Freedom Cities campaign with support from Sheffield Executive Board, in which we hope Truth would play a key role in terms of using the course as an awareness raising tool. The hope is that Sheffield could become the first freedom city in the UK, which would be promoting a community-based approach to tackling trafficking, and potentially could also be transferred to other cities in the future. So we are hoping that the Truth Project will become a catalyst for further work, both in our region and further afield, to combat this really awful crime that should not be happening in our day and time. So thank you for listening. I'm sorry that the video wasn't working, but it is available on our YouTube channel. If you visit the project website, which is truthuncovered.eu, you can read more about the project and look at some videos, and the testimonial from Patrick as well as some other participants are there as well. In the meantime, if you would like further information about the project, you can contact me. I'm Carolyn at c.usher@innovaconsult.com, or give us a call on the office, which is a UK number, 0114 279 9091. Thanks for listening, and I hope to see or speak to you soon. Thank you.